So I asked her, if you're helping me with all these, what do I give you in return? Like maybe from this campaign money that you're seemingly going to give me to mobilize the youth, how much do you want from it? And then she tells me, no, I'm actually doing it from the goodness of my heart because even somebody helped me. And with those words, Nico box, Nico like, wow, there are good people in this world. My prayers have been answered. Ha, shock on me. Hello guys and welcome back to Listen the Grace. So it's been a moment before you guys have seen me make an actual video with me in it. And I have good reason. I'm trying to explore different things. I want to focus I'm a very curious mind. So I'm trying to focus on that and just research and share my researches with you on information and entertainment because these are the topics that genuinely interests me. But if I'm here today, I clearly have some information and entertainment that concerns me and that I would want to share with you. So this is basically a story time and I'm basing it on the Bible. I have a Bible right here. I'm basing it on the book of Matthew chapter 6 verse 33 that says, "Seek thee the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all other things shall be added unto you." So my story time today is on how I was almost conned last week on Friday. Today is Tuesday, so it's just a few days ago. So there are these ladies who are going around. Actually, you people need to know this. There are these ladies who are going around lying to people about the campaigns. They give you the story that they're looking for coordinators and mobilizers and that they're going to give you some certain amount of money. And because they're going to give you this amount of money and it's Kenya and you know how corruption is really messing up our country, they ask you for a commitment fee of some certain amount of money. If you comply, that's how you lose your money, and clearly there's no coordination, there's no mobilization job out there for you. So what happened to me? There is a lady here. I live in Juja. So there's a lady here in Juja. I've known her for a while. We used to live in the same estate some while back. So on last week on Wednesday, I was coming from the market with my son and then I met her and some other ladies. So she called me and she was like, come say hi. So I went and said hi. The lady she was with, interestingly enough, is from my home district. I'm from Kering, and the lady is from Mwea. So she tells me, oh, hi, we are in the Waigoro group and we are campaigning and we are looking for coordinators and mobilizers and all that stuff. And how old are you? So she asked me how old I am. I told her I'm 30. And she's like, perfect. You're actually in the youth group and we need youth for the campaigns and all that. So she didn't give me all that detail, but she just told me, oh, you're from Kirinyaga? That's nice. Actually, her friend, another lady I know, will call you for a job that I want you to help us with by Tuesday. So on Friday, I took her number. I didn't even have her number. Oh, she'd given me her number. The lady I know in Juja, she's Kamba. I had her number, but then I didn't save it. So I was like, okay, if there's something you people want me to do, the Kikuyu in me can't just let money slide. So I'm like, okay, give me your number again. I'll call you and we can discuss about it. So I give her my number and I forget about it. On Friday I was heading out and then I remember, oh, by the way, I was supposed to look for this lady and it's Friday. If I'm supposed to do something in Kirinyaga on Tuesday, I think it's nice to call her now because we have the weekend to know what exactly needs to be done and how I'm supposed to go about it. So I called the lady and she tells me she's going for a meeting for her kids. There's a meeting in school, but she'll see me after. I call her after and we actually meet up. We meet up in one of their cars. They have 2 cars. And now the lady I know is not there anymore. She leaves me, the lady from Kirinyaga, because we come from the same district, and she's the one who's giving me the job anyway. We can discuss the terms of the job. So she goes to go fix they have 2 cars, 2 minivans. So she goes to fix the other minivan. Apparently it had an issue and she leaves me with this lady from Kirinyaga as the lady explains to me the terms and conditions of this job. So when she goes to fix the car, she calls for the soldier of our estate, and he's a very nice guy, and he goes to help her, and that's that basically. So the lady starts explaining to me like, oh hi, oh it's really nice that you came, you know, I am in the Waigoro team and we're having all these campaigns and would want you to be one of our coordinators. And she said she's a bit older, she's like my mother's age, she's in her 50s 60s there, you can tell she's a bit older. If she's not 50, she's 48 to 50. She tells me, oh, now we need coordinators and you'd be a good addition. And I'm like, okay, how will I hack this? Because I live in Njugush and you're talking about Kirinyaga. And I'm like, kwa hii dunia, listening is free. Listen to people. You never know what they have to offer. And my sister is always like kindness. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to just listen. And I just tell God, like, God help me, because anyway, I don't know what this is. And the deal is too good, Hapa. It gets better. So the lady tells me that they'll need me to get a driver and to get a car, and they'll fill the tank of the car, full tank, hadi Kirinyaga, and the driver, they'll give him an allowance of 3,000 to drive me to Kirinyaga, and me, they'll give me an allowance of 2,000 per day. And I'm supposed to be there for like 3 days, because I'm supposed to be there like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's a campaign. There's a campaign by Waiguru that will be on Thursday, but I have to be there to mobilize the youth between Monday and Wednesday. Okay, makes sense, but I'm like, okay, my baby and my life. But I'm like, okay, let me just listen. And then she calls some guy. When she calls this guy says that he's from Kirinyaga County and he works at the county offices. So when she tells me, talk to the guy and find out what is supposed to happen. The guy tells me that they're looking for coordinators, as the lady says, and that I should be in Kirinyaga on Monday to fill the forms because formalities, and they really emphasize on the fact that they know that everything these days has to be written down and everything has to be, contract based. So I'm like, okay, fine. So at a point, the driver to my son's school calls, and so I have to leave and go get my son. And so the lady is like, okay, you go get your son and come back to Malize's story. So we talk and we discuss, and then she tells me that, do you know that you're going to get some certain amount of money. She tells me you're going to get 80,000. We're going to give you 80,000. Regardless of the 2Gs, ile ati daily allowance na kujiekea gari mafuta and the driver, me I get 2,000, the driver gets 3,000, and the car is constantly full tank. And now I'm going to get 80,000. With this 80,000, I'm supposed to look for youth and look for very vibrant youth, and then they're supposed to look for other people. Like I'm supposed to look for like 10 young guys, and then these 10 should get some 10 each, and then now that money I'm supposed to mobilize like the youth to show up for the campaign for Waiguru that's supposed to be on Wednesday. It's Kirinyaga Central, and she says, Kirinyaga Central is one of the places that Waiguru didn't get so many votes last time, so she's really emphasizing on vibrance there. She's a very good market, I must say. Ana ulimi mtamu. Her tongue is on point. So she tells me, okay, but you know what happens with this campaign money? If you get the 80 Gs, you can take off like maybe 20 or 30 yako ya mfuko, and then now you can keep the rest of the money. I swear, for someone who does not know God. That's why I started with this. I started with this because you people, you don't know. I'm not perfect, but I'm really trying to look for this guy. I'm looking for this guy called God with all my heart, because I have discovered hiding in God, there are things that he really, really genuinely saves you from. So she tells me, now you're going to have that money. And then she goes on to make the deal even sweeter. Aki nakwambia kukoniwa Nairobi. You are going to be con in a way that you cannot tell. And I know, kwanza for Kikuyu people like us, our love for money will be the end of us. So she tells me, unajua, she tells me, and you know, when Waiguru is actually elected as the governor again for Kirinyaga, you're going to get bahasha, na hii bahasha inakuja na 400K. Sweetheart. Me 400K naona plot. I'm actually me naona 2 plots. Then 400K me naona 2 plot, and I'm like, ka plot tu kamefana hivyo. So she tells me, she proceeds to tell me, she tells me her own story about how even she her grandmother, I don't know, she somehow knows the family of Waiguru, and that's how she got her job herself. in the government, and now she's in some branch in the government, but now she's helping with the elections. Sawa, me I kubali everything, because me I don't know anyone, I don't know any politicians. Yes, I am here trying to inform Kenyans and entertain them on what's happening in our country. But this is completely new to me. And she sounds so genuine. Like this lady, I swear, to her. Hata mimi mwenyewe mimi nilikuwa box, by the way. I was just waiting for that allowance. Then this Alex guy, she calls this Alex guy. Now, funny enough, the people say at this con people usually use a kabambe. Why, it's true. But at the same time, let me now tell you where God comes in this story. God works in mysterious ways. When you're talking with this lady, someone calls her and tells her gas imeisha na nimeko, and she's like asking for 1700 ya refill gas. And this lady seemingly does not have 1700. This lady is talking about 400, ma milioni, ma 80k, and does not have 1700, and tells the lady to please her. And I'm like, sawa, maybe wamezitumia as a campaign. Maybe, sometimes you invest and you're left like nothing. The other lady I told you went to fix her car. She went with our soldier, and nani soldier si mechanic. When you're going to fix gari, she put the soldier like a terminals vibaya, like negative, positive, alizi connect vibaya. So gari kachoma some few things kwa gari. Venye ilichoma hizo some few things, she has to replace those things. So she comes to inform this lady who I'm in the car talking to that gari mechomeka some things and they're gonna cost like 500 shillings. Seemingly hana hiyo 500. So we talked. She calls the guy who's now like in Kering, this guy. And when she calls this guy, let's call him Musa. She calls this Musa guy and she's like, oh, hi Musa. So I want you to finalize with this lady and so that we can get this thing going and so that we have the weekend to plan. So I call the guy and he tells me that I'll need to make a commitment fee. Usually the commitment fee is usually 10,000, but he's willing to make it 5,000. And I tell him, 5,000. I tell him, I don't have. And then he's like, how much do you have? Nadia niko box somehow. I tell him, I have 3,000. And then I tell him, anyway, if you really insist on the 5,000, see, Monday I'm going to come and you're going to give me every day an allowance of 2 Gs, 2 Gs every day for those 3 days, minus the money that I'm supposed to use to mobilize the youth, where I'm going to get some good cash from anyway. I tell him, now my Monday allowance, utachukua hiyo 2,000, because you want 5 and I have 3. He says, fair enough. And then he tells me we're going to plan everything over the weekend. And he tells me that it's Friday at around 5:30 in the evening. And he tells me he's still at the office. And then I ask him, he's in a government office, how are you going to plan? How are we going to coordinate these things? Na kesho ni weekend. He tells me he'll still be in the office kesho na ni weekend. And I'm like, very interesting government office where people usually go weekend. It doesn't si kawaida. Haya. So we've talked and we've finished that conversation with that Alex guy. And this lady tells me, also, umeskizana? And I'm like, yeah, we've skizanad. He said I can just give him whatever I have and then the rest we'll sort out from the allowance I get on Monday. So she tells me, the commitment fee is instant. And I'm like, what do you mean instant? Like I'm supposed to send it to him there and then. And then she even goes and tells me her own story. To get the job that she got in the government, she needed the person who was supposed to connect her to her job, alimutisha 100,000. Alikuwa na 70,000 ati yeye mwenyewe zake, aka have kuomba 30,000 kwa mtu. And anyway, it has paid off because the job is well paying. But me, I'm like, no, I can't pay for something I've not seen. And I tell her vividly, like, okay, if this guy says I get a driver, if I get a driver, I ask my friends to drive me, I'm going to have to give them that 3,000. And if I'm going to have the car that is going to drive me there, my car or whoever's car, to take me there, we'll need to fuel it. Hiyo ni pesa ya fuel. I don't even care about my own allowance because nimemwambia achukue 2K hiyo ya Monday, ajiweke kama part of the pesa. Si nataka 5 na mimi nasema nitampe 3, zikuwe 5. So the lady tells me, so she tells me like, oh, okay. Hata nimepotea. So nikasema, when he sends me money for the driver and he sends me money for fuel, then I will send him my 3,000. Sindio? Ama on Monday when I get there, because anyway I have documents to fill. Once I fill the documents and I see that this is something that's legit, then whatever money he gives me ya kumobilize na hiyo allowance yangu, nitatoa kwa hiyo pesa nimpe 5,000 as he wanted. And then she's like, oh, okay, is that what you discussed? And then I'm like, yeah, that's what he has agreed to. And then she's like, okay. So the other lady comes and she's like, they're supposed to go pick their kids somewhere, I think from school, because it's around 5:30. And then she tells me, why don't you, because I know her, I've known her for a while. And she's like, why don't you move to the back seat of the car and then we go pick my kids? And I'm like, I'm holding my son at this time and he's dozed off. So I'm like, okay, no, let me just go and take this guy to sleep and make him a snack or something like that. And then she's like, hey, let's hurry up. We go and pick the kids, then come back to the house and get the 500 to fix the other car. Watu hata 500 hawana. And I'm like, very fishy deal. So this guy who's in Kirinyaga tells me to send him my certificate. And I'm like, okay, my certificate gani? I'm like, just any certificate. With my name. I'm like, okay, it's a government job and you're asking me not even for a photo of my, he tells me to send a photo on WhatsApp. And I'm like, he's not even asking for my ID, because I'm thinking ID kona more details than a certificate. But I'm like, okay, one do anajua how they work these things out. I'll just send him a certificate. So I send him and I text him on WhatsApp. I tell him, oh, I've sent you, because I found he's not online. So I tell him, oh, I've sent you the certificate you asked for. And then he's like, we're going to talk kesho. That is on Saturday. And now, Saturday kafika. Kangi is waiting for the job of our dreams. Easy money. No one called. Kumbe watu waliona nilikata kutoa pesa haraka. So I go and ask I ask people around, like, how do you know these ladies? And they're like, wow, we saw you getting into a trap. And all we could do is pray for you. How much did they cooler you? And I was like, they didn't. Seemingly, I just felt like there are loopholes. Me, I didn't even know. Just God's wisdom. There's a way God just works in you when you give him your life. Like, when you choose to, put him first, there's a way he also puts you first in things, because I swear I would have lost my 3 days or even more. Maybe you're 10 ningesimani now ningewapea, ama you're 5, ama you're 3, but I didn't lose even a single penny. And to find out from people that these women are actual con women, it makes me freak out. Like, oh my gosh, I was almost con, but at the same time I'm full of gratitude, like, thank God I wasn't conned. So people are gonna come around this time ya campaign, wakiwapatia kazi za mobilization, coordination, campaign, just funny campaign jobs. But be very careful. That's the thing. That's the trending topic in the conman industry, campaigns. So be very careful. And at the same time, when the deal is too good, think twice. And at the same time, put God first and seek his righteousness, and all other things shall be added unto you. This is a Listen the Great. Hope you learned something from my video. And remember, you're beautiful within and without, and don't let anybody tell you anything else. Adios, amiga. Bye-bye.